Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
Now, historic films made in the spring of 1948 and just released show NW preparing for heavily guarded and still largely secret tests of new atomic weapons. The test's purpose is to measure atomic effects on thousands of different materials, 30,000 tons of them, not, as at Bikini, to prove military effectiveness.
San Francisco police say that 9 persons have been arrested in a narcotics raid on the headquarters of the Grateful Dead, a widely popular singing group. 2 members of the group, Rod McKernan and Robert Weir, and their business manager, Danny Rifkin, have been booked on suspicion of possessing narcotics.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting their roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Well, strange lights are causing a viral buzz on YouTube. Could we have caught extraterrestrial activity on a recent newscast? Brandon Arroyo investigates.
As the newscast ended, the controversy began back on September 26th. What is that light shining in the back of the dark night sky?
With coverage reaching all the way back to 1948, for over 70 years, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Now, Fate Magazine Radio is carrying on that tradition of setting the standard in paranormal talk radio as we report and discuss some of the most mysterious and perplexing phenomena imaginable in this strange world of ours. Now, here is your host of Fate Magazine Radio, Kat Hobson.
Good evening. Welcome to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and I am so pleased about that. My friend Rick has dubbed me the voice of Fate, and some might find that intimidating. I just try to roll with it. And so far, I love it. So I have to tell y'all that I am very excited about tonight's guest. And if you are not in chat, or if you are having trouble finding us online, you can go to fatemag.com/fate-radio. That will get you to us, and our chat is there. You can listen online there. You can search Spreaker to get to Fate Magazine Radio, and we're there. We've got a great chat room that's already filling up, and I know they're excited too, because my guest tonight is Jean Lundgren, and I am very excited because we have spoken several times before. She is someone I admire greatly. Her experience is practically unparalleled. She is a psychic and a medium. She's a healer, a nurse, a demon seer. She's an international paranormal investigator, and she's an author. of multiple books, all of which have helped me in learning some of the things I deem necessary to the paranormal work that I do. She communicates with spirits, animals, and angels. How's that for a trifecta? She was in the military where she trained as a nurse and an EMT. And after returning from her military work, she was in the medical field as a nurse, and she's currently the founding member of Ghosts and Girls Paranormal. So I think that's just too cool. So, June, I am so glad that you are here. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's great to be here again. Great to talk to you again.
Well, I enjoy our conversations, and I always learn things that I had no idea I didn't know.
Well, you never stop learning, you know. And my grandma always said, never stop learning.
Well, if you think you have, the universe will show you that you are mistaken.
Oh, yeah. It certainly will.
In a hot minute.
In no uncertain terms.
Yes. Kind of like earlier this evening. That's okay.
Yeah.
So we have a good group here in our chat room tonight. We've got Kat, who is the host of Paranormal Heart, Brenda, Lori, I thought I saw Sherry here already, Marquetti. So we are off to the races. They're talking about healing stones now. And I'm going to just go with conversation. There's Sherry. And get, questions out of chat as well, if that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Some of the things that I have enjoyed the most on learning from you, I learned in your books. And I noticed that there are a couple of children's books in there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fun.
Yeah, they're not, they've got nothing to do with the paranormal.
Well,
I wrote the first one, Susie's Big Adventure, when 1981. A friend of mine's son needed a story for a school project. So I wrote the book in 45 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
And then the other one is called Petals, Golden Wings.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about a little fairy that has to find a gift for the birth of the Christ child. And it's a lot of people that read it say it's so good. It gets 5 stars, and they say, let's start crying at the end of the story. I'm like, yeah, so do I, and I wrote it.
Well, that speaks volumes. I mean, that's pretty amazing. The first one of your books that I read was the let me make sure I get this title right, because I get discombobulated sometimes, but The Dark Side of the Paranormal.
Yeah, that's a big seller in Europe for some strange.
It should be a big seller everywhere, because
kind of like a dark entity primer.
Exactly. And I run into so many people who, without really doing anything that I've seen, go into an investigation and they're ready for anything that shows up. And then all of a sudden, something shows up and they're not ready.
I don't think you can ever be ready for anything. A lot of people go into an investigation and, they think that they're ready, and a lot of them don't use any kind of protection. And that's a bad thing, because, you're going into the unknown. You don't know what's there. If it's good, bad, if there's anything at all there. And you're best off just to have some type of protection going in. You say a prayer, ask for a blessing on the investigation, and ask that nothing be allowed to attach itself or follow you home, whether it be good or bad. And then you go do your investigation, and then you thank God, for it afterwards, and you move on.
Well, I have tried my best to be prepared for whatever shows up. And if you don't anticipate that there is going to be something, you could really get shocked.
Oh, yeah.
And, I also actually had shows that I didn't recognize as being occult instead of paranormal until we were into them.
Oh, yeah.
And they were great shows. They weren't bad, per se, right? Very personable hosts, very interesting information. But it just wasn't the right fit here.
Yeah.
And so that was a tough call to make. You have to be aware, and I was not at the time, I am now, but you have to be aware of who you're dealing with and who they deal with.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I had a show I did where Ground Zero, where it was a 4-hour special on me, and it's like you get like in the first week or so you get like over 200 requests for help, and one of the people that was there was like, I'd like to meet you for coffee, and I'm like, yeah, it better be a very public place. I don't like the feel of this person, you know.
And you have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, and it's like, here's this woman, and she's like, she's filing her teeth down to fangs, and she's, oh my God, she's talking about, capturing human souls and basically collecting them. And I'm like, oh,
nope.
I knew I didn't like you. And I told her, I said, well, you got this little demon hanging out over your shoulder there. I don't have any demons. I said, oh yeah, you do. And I think I'll just leave him to you. You deserve each other. Thanks.
Well, I'll tell you, I get surprised as all get out at people sometimes, but, we have talked in the past about, I kind of wish I had some of the style of gifts that you have, and then I'm like, yeah, nope. Because there's some things that I'm not comfortable with. So we have questions.
Mm-hmm.
Brenda wants to know, does negative removal just mean ghosts?
No, it means demonics in humans.
Yes. Are demonic and inhuman always the same?
Yeah, they're one and the same. Inhuman just refers to the fact that they cannot and will not be able to take on a physical form. The only way they can do that is to, possess a human form. And really, people think, oh, that's just what they want to do. They want to possess you, and blah, blah, blah. They would rather attach themselves to you more than anything because they don't want to be in a physical shell. They do not like it. They hate it with a passion. And the times that you do have the possessions, they're not in possession all the time because, again, they don't like that. They don't want to. That's one of the reasons that they're unable to take physical form is when the war happened between heaven and hell, although it was just heaven at the time.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, Lucifer and his followers said, this is not what we want. We do not want to be subject to pain, growing old, disease, living in a shell where we can't just pick up and go, to another galaxy or whatever whenever we want to. This is not for us. And that's what started the whole thing. And they would rather not be in a shell. That's what they call a shell.
Right. Well, technically, I have heard the body called a shell through every religion. And so now those that are not the ones on, my religion's team.
Mm-hmm.
But we have got another question that I think is pretty interesting. And what time? We've got about 6 minutes. Sherry would like to know, what have you run into that you are definitely sure is demonic and not a grumpy spirit? That list is going to be long.
A lot of things, including Lucifer. Lucifer he's not as bad as everybody makes him out to be, but he has the respect for the Legion of Light, of which Ariel is one. But yes. I don't know, I've seen harpies, I've seen succubus, incubus, banshees, I've seen elementals, human spirits, old demons, lesser demons, shadow people.
Well, the old ones are the ones that are quite strong, correct? They've been here the longest.
They're the most powerful and the most intelligent. Lesser demons, like I said, they're like hormonal teenagers, they like to party and cause chaos and destruction. And they're not as smart. They're pretty stupid, actually.
Well, Brenda mentioned that she believes dementia patients might have demons. I know that in past times, a lot of dementia, Parkinsonian, as well as what we deem Alzheimer's now, that type of thing, were considered to all have demons.
Right, back in the day, yeah. I mean, you stop and think about it. It's a perfect vehicle in some ways, but to influence them is an issue. I have found that it's more people with mental illness that are, the victims of these things. The Parkinson's patients, not so much, or the dementia patients, because it's too hard to control their thought patterns for a demon, and they don't like that. They want to be able to control. They want to have those thought patterns that are easy to control. And with Parkinson's and dementia, they don't have that, at least not with the advanced.
Interesting. I just thought my dad had Parkinsonian dementia. My grandpa and my uncle had Alzheimer's, and my mom has something. So they think it's Alzheimer's, but she was genetically tested and came back without the markers. So who knows what it is.
Yeah.
But she is the darkest of all of them. With her, when they go on their memory trips that aren't true memories, kind of a thing.
Yep.
She goes very dark. And I kind of just go, that's interesting.
It's a lot to do with past life issues. When you have things like that, they have a tendency to surface.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad that I knew her in this life and not her past one.
Yeah.
So, one of the people whose mother has dementia says that her mother sometimes exhibits as a separate entity.
Yeah.
Is that common?
Yeah, they can. The past lives can come forward to where, that it's almost like, people with multiple personalities. But people don't understand what the shrinks don't understand is multiple personality is okay, but it's not a product of the brain per se. It's a product of the past lives coming forward. Something triggers it, they come forward, and they sometimes, depending upon the individual, can overpower the present lifetime.
That's interesting. And a little freaky.
Yeah, it is. But it happens.
I get the Parkinsonian being tough to manage because that is an onset that includes TIAs and evolves into a larger stroke toward the. I don't know for everyone, but
some people it does, some people it doesn't. Just depends.
It's just really, really interesting, and
I work in internal medicine, so I work with a lot of older people.
Oh well, I know, and that just overwhelms me a little bit. Not because it freaks me out totally that you do it, because I know your strengths, but it freaks me out that there's so many of them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but, well, we're going to take our first break. And for everyone listening, if you would like, just go ahead and get in chat. Go to Spreaker, search Fate Mag Radio or Fate Magazine Radio, and you'll find us. And get in there and get your questions in. We'll be back right after this. Y'all come back too.
Warning, the following message does not necessarily reflect the views of WBHM-DB or its hosts, guests, listeners, or of any functioning adult in general. In fact, Frank should probably seek professional help. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, Frank Lee here. I thought that I would spend a few moments telling you about the positivity from the network here. The overall message of para-unity and happiness, and how everyone here wants to get along with everyone out there, and how everything is just wonderful. Wait, Cat's not looking. Okay, I've got something to really tell you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what's really going on. Honestly, all that being nice and positive crap was kind of hurting my soul, as dark as it is. So, what's really happening? Well, you see it all the time. Everybody and their brother out there has a paranormal team because they watched a couple of episodes of Ghost Hunters or some crap like that. So they go and they spend half their mortgage payment on tools and things that light up that they don't understand. And then the next logical step after buying matching black t-shirts and posing like 90s rappers for their Facebook page is to, of course, have their own podcast. Well, you know what? You're not going to find that crap here. What we have here at WBHM Digital Broadcasting is the best host, the best guest, bringing you real information. All of the hosts here on this network know their stuff. They are the people who have been out there doing the work, doing actual research. And no, by research, I don't mean binge watching some kind of cheesy TV show on Netflix. I mean reading books. I mean out in the field doing the legwork. And who are they interviewing on their shows? They're bringing you the people they have learned from. They're bringing you the best in the field, covering all kinds of topics from UFOs and aliens to Bigfoot to cryptozoology to ghosts to anything you can think of a bit strange and unexplained. It is here, and you're going to get the best information here. So stay tuned to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. Speaking of going somewhere, I've got to go before my mic gets cut. We'll see you there on WBHM-DB.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I'm so glad you're here because this conversation is already rocking, and so is our chat. We have so many questions that we're going to probably not get to them in order, so I'm going to apologize in advance. So, I did see an interesting question here, and let me find it. It's from April. And hi, April, by the way. What about human hybrid type demons? Are there such things?
If you'd have to qualify what you mean. If you mean that.
Okay, April, go ahead.
Yeah.
What does she need to do to qualify that for you?
I need to know if she's talking about humans that are possessed, or if she's talking about, like, people talk about Nephilims and stuff like that.
I'm going to bet on Nephilim, but let's see. She hasn't brought it back yet. So she said that she's aware of demons being described as unclean spirits of half-breed humans and angels. That would be the Nephilim, that are always hungry and thirsty, wandering earth. So that sounds like the Nephilim, correct?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like them, but a Nephilim is not as people think, and not as they're described in that way. A lot of people think that, it's a Nephilim is an angel came down and had intercourse with a human and created a child. But that's not what a Nephilim truly is. A Nephilim is someone like me that's half angel and half human, in the way that Ariel, the archangel, when I was born, her soul came into me, because it is, my body, her soul. So people would consider me a Nephilim, but I don't really, it's not like Hollywood.
No, nothing ever is in real life much.
There's a lot of warrior angels right now. There's over 300,000 warrior angels born into physical form right now because of spiritual warfare.
It's strong right now, isn't it?
Yeah, they're desperate. They are truly, the demons are truly desperate to get a foothold.
Why?
Because the light has ruled for so long in the physical world. And if they get a foothold, they can basically destroy mankind. They can make it so man destroys himself. And they will be the puppeteer pulling the strings. And that's what they're all about, because each human body contains a white light soul. And they're the ones that put them in the dark realm. When God put them in the dark realm and said, you can't live among us. You have to live in the dark realm. And he sealed it. And at first they were fine with it. They're like, it was first like, this is my place now. I'm going to rule, blah, blah. And over the centuries, the hundreds of thousands of years, they've grown angry and vengeful and just pissed off. And they want revenge.
Well, Brenda has an interesting question relevant to Ariel coming into you with her soul when you were born. Where did she replace the soul that you were to have, or
no? Where
did your soul go?
No, she is my soul.
Okay, so you were created to have her.
Yeah, my body was
and a body
for her. Yeah,
and a human body.
Right, so that she can learn to have compassion for mankind and experience human life.
Well, I would have to say, is she glad she did that? I mean,
no,
because I've got to think that it was a harsh object lesson.
Well, in 1198 AD, she was, a woman cried out for help because she was possessed by a demon, and God sent Ariel to kill the demon, pull the demon out. And, because Michael showed me the actual occurrence through her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, foolish mortal, you summoned the demon, and then you seek God's help to remove it. And she reached in and ripped the demon out of the woman's body, and the woman's body died. And God was upset because he said, you know what? This is not the first instance of this happening. He says, you have no compassion for mankind. He says, I'm going to send you back. You've been up here too long. I'm going to send you back to relive human lives until you learn to have compassion for mankind. And this is life number 131. So, she's a little stubborn, a little pig-headed, but, it is what it is. This is her last lifetime. She's finally learned.
Learn not to ask for that.
Yeah.
I get it. So, we're going to stay on this for a moment because Kat says, does this happen often? Angel souls taking over human souls? But she didn't take your human soul.
No,
you were created to be her vessel.
Right. My physical body was created to be the vessel for her entry into the human world.
Right. Okay. So Sherry said, how do you know this about Ariel? She's confused as to how people have someone else's soul. how they learn who it is, but you don't have someone else's soul.
Right.
You're a recreation
of her.
Of Oriel.
Of Ariel, yeah. See, she's, when I do a removal, when she comes forward, people see physical manifestations. They see wings coming out of my shoulders. They see my eyes turn white. My voice changes completely. And my face changes. And they get a little freaked out over that situation. But they're like, did you know that this is occurring when she's forward? And I'm like, A, I don't have a mirror. B, I don't really care. And C, I'm too busy removing a demon.
This is so interesting. And I know we've talked about this before, but this is probably the most clear discussion, because I'm telling you, this chat is fantastic. They have the best.
Good.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah.
Yes. And Brenda says, came into this world loving mankind. I'm no longer that child, but you wouldn't be that child any longer because you progress as your own soul through your own life experiences, right?
Right. Exactly.
So,
she's grown more patient with mankind, and she's grown more compassionate, but she still doesn't have the best attitude towards humans that do things like summon demons and child abuse and animal abuse and stuff like that. She has no tolerance for any of that. She'd just as soon rip the soul out of them as look at them. And she knows she can't do that. But, it does irritate her, and it does make her mad to see the way humans treat, other humans and animals and stuff like that.
Well, I'm kind of fed up with them too.
Yeah.
So you sit back and you look at it and it's like, Jiminy Crickets. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
So, how can you do that? And then you become aware of the things that walk amongst us, and because they're not all you.
Right. They just whisper in your ear. There's a lot of them around right now. And with the pandemic, it gave them the perfect opening, the perfect excuse, because there's a lot of anger and depression and fear and worry, anxiety. It's all these negative emotions that they feed off of, and that enables them to grow stronger.
Yep. Well, I tell you, Sherry said, "Wow, I think I'm glad I'm just a plain old boring person." So.
Well, that's the thing. I'm finding more and more people come to me, and for a reading or whatever, and they usually come, and I'm finding more and more warrior angels and helping people. I help people try to come to terms with what it is that resides within them, and how to blend that, how to understand what's within them. I'm actually writing a book. It's called The Angel Primer, and it talks about...
Oh, that's going to be so handy.
Yeah, it's going to talk about, how humans, have these souls that are angels, and how, what they can do, how to help themselves, their abilities, histories, things like that.
That's important.
Yeah, people need to understand what resides within them and how they can help themselves, how they can learn, how they can connect and, communicate with, that angelic soul that's within them.
Well, I will tell you that we've got 2 great questions here, and 3 actually, but we have the second part of April's. But I'm going to go to Kat's first, and that is, are there a lot of angel spirits particularly, I would guess, because Ariel is an archangel. Are there archangel spirits? And how many are there? And do you recognize them when you meet them?
Oh, yeah. Right now, there are 8 archangels in the physical world, 7 now. One had to be, not always does the transition from angel to physical go smoothly. And sometimes people will experience mental illness, or they'll kill themselves. It's too much for the physical to deal with. And one had to be recalled because she was literally crazy. And so she didn't make the transition. So God pulled her out and put a soul that wanted to incarnate in her place, so that that soul was happy with it, and the archangel was returned. She'll come back again, but she's going to try to, they're going to try to help her understand and make the transition better. But I know where all the rest of all the other 6 are. Yeah, I've met them, talked to them. So there's 2 more here in the United States. There's 1 in France, 1 in Italy, 2 in England. That's where they are.
Well, I am just glad y'all are here. It's what I am.
Yeah, at least we all made the transition, okay?
Well, I have to think that to go from being an active archangel to being put in a human body where, human bodies are rather frail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was that the part that was causing the problem, that she felt upset with the frailty, or was she just overwhelmed with all the work?
She was just crazy.
Oh, okay.
Mentally ill. I mean, literally crazy.
I didn't know that archangels could go crazy.
They can't, but the physical body they inhabit cannot deal with. It's like it's not a good fit.
Gotcha.
It didn't work out well that way, and so therefore the mental illness occurred. So I mean, she was bad shape.
Bless her heart. That's terrible.
I had to talk to God about it, and He's like, this is what we need to do. Okay.
We have some other questions, and one of them is already starting a yes, she is, no, she's not, yes, she is, no, she's not discussion, not about you. Mm-hmm. But Mark wants to know, were there demons in Mary Magdalene?
No.
Thank you. Okay. So he said that she was possessed, and I'm like, I've never heard of that.
No, Mary Magdalene was not possessed.
Well, good. And Sherry said, we're going to save that one. April had said, yes, the Nephilim, but also human-animal mixed.
No.
Animals.
That comes from, the difference in that is, okay, what people fail to understand is that souls are a soul. I don't care whether it's, you're, okay, we'll say you have a human soul on the other side, okay, or so to speak, a person's soul. And then you say, oh, I'd really like to experience life as a whale, or life as a dog, or a cat, or giraffe, and so you come back in that form. But it's not, it's the same. The soul is the soul. It doesn't matter whether you come back as a dog or cat or giraffe, because it's all the same. It's just you're in a different shell. That's all. You want to experience life as a giraffe. Oh, that's cool, But people think animal souls are different or that they're unintelligent. And it's like, don't let them hear you say that. It's not good.
Well, I had always questioned whether animals truly had souls. And when we got Kylie the Wonder Lab as a puppy, she was so compassionate, and she would fight to save other animals that were her friends. And in one instance, she came and yelled at me, like, Lassie with Timmy and the whale, to go and save a squirrel. So that's a pretty cool dog. And my husband, who did not at that time believe in anything paranormal, right? But he looked at me one day, and it was shortly after Mother Teresa had died and Princess Diana and all these saints were dying.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me wide-eyed and said, there's something about this dog. And I said, there is something about this dog. And he said, it's like she's Mother Teresa or somebody like that. And I was like, well, I don't know if she's that good. But I think that that's a strong possibility. It's just, it's so obvious when they do and they share that with you, because I don't understand how, I had one dog that had been so abused and damaged in life, and when she met me, she had been walking for 2 weeks. She wouldn't lay down. She just could not rest. She paced all the time until she was just exhausted. And when I walked in the door and went and sat down, because I said something to her with the other dogs that lived there, she came and sat down and leaned up on me like, where in the world have you been?
Yeah.
I was just so unaware of her situation that I thought that was just her normal behavior. And my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law both just stopped what they were doing immediately and were just staring. And I'm like, what? I said, that's your dog. She's going home with you. And I'm like, no, I like being married to your brother. Thank you. But she was my dog. Yep. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting, since we're talking about dogs and souls and their knowing and our knowing and stuff. We have to take a break, and then we are going to revisit this other situation that has been brought up in chat. So, y'all, we'll be right back. Y'all come back too.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio. broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I'm so glad y'all are here because my guest is Gene Lundgren, and we are absolutely having a great conversation, and we are going to a kind of difficult topic that was brought up in chat. And Sherry wanted to know if you had seen all the news about the concert at Astro World in Texas. She says many are saying it was a demonic portal and ritual, and the 9 people who lost their lives, the many others injured. Do you think that a demonic thing could have happened there? Because she wondered if there were satanic rituals, and because there were so many demonic signs around the concert, and the stage was even designed like a portal.
Yeah, there's a lot of demonic influence there. And it shows in the way things happened, and 9 is a very specific number, and I can't really tell you what it's about, but I'm just saying it's a very significant number when it comes to what's going on in the world right now. And what better venue for the demons and the dark ones to utilize than someone who's designing the set, the people that are involved in it, they can influence them. And then, all these thousands of people come to the concert, and there's more influence there. And I'm pretty sure that people that after the concert had some issues, anybody that's susceptible would have issues. Maybe they came home and for days afterwards they were in a horrible mood, or they picked fights, or they were doing things that they wouldn't normally do. It's all kinds of the subtle influences that the demons do.
Well, Kat's concerned now because she wants to know what the number 9 means, because her son's birthday falls on a 9.
Yeah, it's not that.
Okay.
We can talk later.
Okay. But she had just posted that, so she was concerned, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't have to do with that sort of thing. It has to do with something else bigger.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to trust you on that because I trust you on everything else. So, what was does it matter that the 9th person passed days after? Should it?
No.
Okay.
No.
And, but she doesn't have to be concerned for her son at all.
No.
Okay.
That's got nothing to do with that sort of thing.
All right. And we have April. We've got 12 minutes. Can you discuss 9/11 in 12 minutes?
9/11 was bad. They saw it coming, and they did not. They did not.
Well, everybody saw that coming.
Yeah.
You
have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to see it.
But I mean
it was the thing with Pearl Harbor. They knew it.
The welling of sensation in everyone I know who is sensitive as a rock, all the way up to people that are people like you. Everyone knew this was coming. They didn't know what. But for weeks I kept seeing, no matter where I was online at or whatever, is anyone else feeling this? Does anyone else feel that there's something big coming?
Big coming, yeah.
And, it hasn't been long ago that I was seeing that again.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah, you just wait for the other shoe to fall.
You do. And, I actually, those posts, comments, email messages, everything, those have dropped off again. So I don't know if that's social media or,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. But I do know that I was seeing them like mad, and then all of a sudden it's just gone.
Yeah.
So, April said, is there a significance to December 16th? My daughter was born on December 16th. But,
No, not at this time, no.
Okay. April is a very well-read ancient text scholar, so sometimes she comes up with stuff that I haven't found yet, and so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it is good.
Well, what do you, okay, so Kat in chat said, we could do cat in a hat or a cat in chat. We'll do a chat. But she said that she's been having bad insomnia for weeks, and she's been having the feeling also for weeks that something big is going to happen. See, it's really everywhere. And Kat and I are peers and friends. We've been doing our podcasts for a while, relatively close together. And so, and she's a sensitive.
Something big is coming.
Okay. So it's not just...
But it's not negative.
Well, that just about have to be true, because I don't know that we could take much more negativity.
Yeah, it's not negative. It'll happen in the next couple of weeks.
But,
so I can see it, yeah.
Well, April said that she keeps a dream journal, and I did know this, that she keeps dream journals.
That's good.
And she has multiple dreams, all culminating at one point.
Right. That's the best way to track them.
Well, she's done it since she was a teen, so...
Mm-hmm.
Oh. We have a very difficult question. You might not think it's a difficult question. It's a difficult question to ask. Dare they ask if the pandemic was planned by other entities?
It was influenced, just like the Black Plague. Black Plague was also.
Influence is different than planned. That's better.
Right.
Oh, and she said in the next couple of watts, she missed that. You're going to have to listen closer, Kat. So, so you said a couple of weeks, didn't you?
Yeah, the first part of it's going to happen in a couple of weeks, and the next part of it over the next space of, let's see, I talked to God 4 months ago, and he said that there was he called it the Great Conjunction. Things are going to happen over the space of a year, and that was like 4 months ago, so we have, however many months left, 9 months left, 8 months left, 8 months left. That he was creating a cosmic event, and the event was meant to help light workers, all those who do his work. And what's going to happen is there'll be, and the first thing that will happen will be the activation of the warrior angels, which is in the physical body, and that's already happened about 6 weeks.
That has already happened.
Yeah, about 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 months. I have to track. And the next thing is going to bring those that are light workers. It's going to bring increased awareness. Their abilities are going to increase. There's going to be financial and health benefits. So a lot of things are shifting in that direction. It's a slow process, but it's going in that direction. The first phase was the awakening of the sleeping warrior angels. God says it's time for me to awaken them. I'm like, okay. He says you're going to get a lot of calls. I'm like, okay. And then
I bet you did, didn't you?
Oh, I did. I still am.
You still are.
Yeah, so I hope to retire at the end of this month. so I can finish, so I can get back into do this full time and do my light worker stuff full time. But in the second phase will be, will be happening in the next couple of weeks. And then it'll gradually build momentum over the rest of the span of that year.
Well, that's positivity.
I told him, it's about time. We need some of that.
We do need some of that. I am... and Kat said that explains why she's been seeing a lot of warrior angels.
Yeah.
So, but Brenda said that she's been dreaming of, water hitting her face and moss on rocks. And she said that she had a dream where she spoke with a being who told her to look at the roots, that the roots were the key. So, and I actually was feeling that when I was recently in a mangrove tunnel, and I'm going to tell you, those are some ancient things. But I digress. When she said roots, it just kind of was like, ooh, that's really interesting, because I was just contemplating roots recently. So, is the dark side aware that the positivity, I know they're aware of the angel warriors. Are they aware of why they are activated?
Yeah, the cosmic event. Yeah, that's why they're so desperate. They know it's coming, and they don't like it, and they're desperate to push it back. But it's not going to happen.
Kat says, can you tell us more? Just angels, aliens, something else?
In regards to, I don't like
the event, to the cosmic nature of the event.
No aliens. Sorry. No aliens. Like I said, there's going to be an increased awareness and an increase in the ability of the warrior angels, and those who do not contain warrior angels. There's going to be an increase in their abilities and the light, and it's almost like a light bulb going off in your head about everything clicks. Everything you think you know, everything you've guessed or, always thought, wow, I really think, this is how this is supposed to be. It's like it'll be an enlightenment of information as well.
Well, I, for one, am thrilled about that. I'm also glad that we spoke today, because I am a light worker.
Mm-hmm.
And to have what was going on happening was just, I was basically blocked from what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I thought, this is just too weird. So that's bizarre. Interesting, though.
Yeah, he says it's time. I'm like, okay.
Brenda says, why can't they see they'd be happier doing good rather than evil? Evil is so illogical. Nobody said that those on the other team were logical, or they wouldn't be on the other team.
Yeah, so, I told you, demons are stupid.
Yeah. I mean, they know they're on the losing team. I've read the book. So,
yeah, but they still push, they're desperate.
Well, I still cheer for Auburn too, so kind of similar. But in all seriousness, though, Kat says that she knows a lot of people around the world who have been sending light to the world, and they've been working hard just blasting light. Nice to know it's working. That's true. It is nice to know.
Yep.
And I've been trying to get it out there, so that is nice that I can.
Yep.
But we are at our top of the hour break, guys. We are going to have to take one. So this is a great time to fill up your beverage container, stretch your legs. This is our top of the hour news break, and y'all know I am forever looking for positive, good news. You never know when it's going to show up. Maybe now. So we'll see you on the flip side, and just come on back, because we'll have a whole other hour with Gene Lundgren. So we'll see you on the other side.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. Coronavirus cases are once again rising around the country. NPR's Jeff Brumfield reports officials are warning that there could be a winter surge.
After the wave caused by the Delta variant, numbers fell across the U.S. Now they're rising again, especially in the Midwest and Northeast. Speaking on Fox News Sunday, Surgeon General Vivek Murthy said that part of the reason is colder weather, which forces people to socialize indoors. But he added, unlike last winter, Americans have vaccines, which offer good protection.
What has held true for the last year is still true, which is that vaccines still give you a high degree of protection, especially against the worst outcomes of COVID, like hospitalization and death.
Murthy also said that if Biden's vaccine mandate for companies over 100 employees continued to be blocked by the courts, it would be, quote, a setback for public health. Jeff Brumfield, NPR News.
House Democrats are expected to get back to work this week on a large social spending package, which President Biden considers a companion measure with the now-passed infrastructure bill. NPR's Windsor Johnston has more.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's aiming to hold a vote on the bill by the end of the week. Lawmakers voted earlier this month to move ahead with debate on the legislation, but it's still unclear whether the president's own party has resolved its internal differences over the scope and size of the measure. Centrist Democrats have said they want to see an official cost estimate from the Congressional Budget Office before moving ahead with a vote. The White House maintains that the measure is fully paid for and will not add to inflationary pressure. In the meantime, President Biden on Monday is expected to sign a separate $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill that the House passed earlier this month. Windsor Johnston, NPR News.
Global reaction to the climate pact reached in Glasgow, Scotland yesterday is mixed. The deal includes some specific actions to cut global greenhouse gas emissions, but NPR's Dan Charles reports it also makes clear countries are not meeting their current climate goals.
The new agreement says in order to limit the harm from climate change, governments need to cut their releases of heat-trapping gases by 45% within a decade and eliminate them entirely by mid-century. Currently, those emissions are still rising. For the first time at one of these UN summits, the final decision recognizes the main source of these emissions, burning fossil fuels, and calls for the use of coal to be phased down. The decision also calls on rich countries, which have released most of these heat-trapping gases, to do more to help developing countries adapt to climate change and also to pay for some of the damage that rising temperatures are causing. Dan Charles, NPR News, Glasgow.
Wall Street futures are trading higher. You're listening to NPR News. Pressure is growing on Ecuador to overhaul its prison system. NPR's Philip Reeves says at least 68 inmates were killed this weekend during a battle inside the country's largest penitentiary.
Authorities spent Saturday trying to restore order after fighting broke out between prisoners with guns, knives and explosives in Litoral Penitentiary in the city of Guayaquil. One battle reportedly lasted 8 hours. There are videos on social media purporting to show trapped inmates pleading for outside help. Officials blame the bloodbath on a turf fight between gangs linked to international drug trafficking. That's the same explanation they gave less than 2 months ago when 119 people were killed in the same prison in one of South America's worst prison massacres. Yet Ecuador's prison system's also overcrowded and corrupt, and governments under intense pressure to clean it up. Philip Reeves, NPR News.
In Britain, 3 men have been arrested in connection with a taxi explosion at a hospital in Liverpool today that left one person dead, another injured. Counterterrorism police are investigating, but police say they are keeping an open mind. It happened at the Liverpool Women's Hospital. The mayor of Liverpool, Joanne Anderson, tweeted it was unsettling and upsetting. Prime Minister Boris Johnson also tweeted his condolences and thanked emergency crews for their quick response. Asian markets are trading higher at this hour. The Asia Dow is up about 0.3%. U.S. crude futures are also higher, up about 0.33% at $81.08 a barrel. I'm Janine Herbst, and you're listening to NPR News.
Support for this NPR podcast and the following message come from the Pediatric Transplant Center at Stanford Children's Health. The center handles some of the most complex transplants of the youngest, smallest, and sickest children in the country while achieving excellent outcomes.
Hey, my name is Peter Sagal, and I am here to help you with the most pressing problem facing civilization today. There are too many good podcasts to listen to. Now, why not avoid that whole problem by listening to an extremely silly podcast hosted by me? On Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, it's wisecracks about the week's news, shenanigans, fart jokes, and general silliness. And doesn't that sound pretty great right now? Listen to the Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me podcast from NPR.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour. Welcome back for the second hour here on Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. And, you know, if you are looking for t-shirts, if you're looking for uncirculated editions to complete your library, if you are looking for the new editions, all you have to do is go to fatemag.com. You can do your subscriptions, you can do all of that stuff, and you are going to be really amazed. I mean, we have trading cards. There's no telling what Phyllis is up to. So just go check it out, get informed, get up to date on all the editions, and you will be so glad you did. Tonight's guest is June Lundgren, and I am so glad you're here, June, because this has been a fascinating conversation, even if it's been very twisted at times.
That's life.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
So, there's so much conversation that's been going on in chat since we went to break. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And to your credit, they say good shows always go too fast. So I think that's a great positive.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and, you know, we were discussing a little bit of everything before we went to break. And we had a question. She says she's eccentric, not twisted. Okay, we'll go with that. This is someone I've known for over 20 years, folks. And trust me, it can go either way. And we've got Lori letting us know that she's still listening, and this is interesting. So I'm glad you're listening. You know, I am so fortunate that I get to speak with you. And we had a conversation pop up in chat. And have there been any political figures who would qualify as light workers?
JFK was one. Abraham Lincoln was one. Those are the only two I can see.
That's astounding, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It is just, I think that's tragic.
It is.
And both of them were assassinated.
Yeah. Imagine that.
With very many connotations that were similar between their experiences.
Yep.
So, is that how politics deals with the light?
Yeah. They do.
You know, it's fairly easy to recognize who you feel are the dark ones there.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own ideology when it comes to how they think things should be. But I don't think that it's difficult with so many different paths available. You know, and it gets confusing. It gets so frustrating as a citizen. You know, it's just like everybody sit down, sing Kumbaya, shake hands, go to your corners, come out and reach an agreement.
Yeah.
You know, and that just never happens.
No, they can't do that for some strange reason. I don't understand.
Well, some of them might not can sing well, but I promise not to judge. So I just would like to see commonality and concern go hand in hand. But what do you think is the most... Oh, she says they just need to eat chocolate.
Get all those good endorphins going on.
Get the positives going. But I tell you what, it makes a difference in my personality.
There you go.
All the time. But how could you ascertain that JFK and Lincoln were light workers? What about them shows that to you?
From a human perspective, it's the good and the intention behind the good that they did. That's the thing, from an angel point of view, I can see their souls. But if you're just looking from a human point of view, it's the way they carried themselves, the way they were concerned about individual, people as a whole. And that spoke volumes, and the way that they treated their family as well.
Yes. And, Lincoln had such a very difficult time with his wife's mental health as well as her physical health.
Yeah, but he never wavered.
That's what I was going to say. Everything that I have ever read, and I have studied him extensively, indicated that he was very caring and concerning and was doing everything that he could for her.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I just think that spoke volumes as well. Ooh, now here is something. Are you ready?
Okay.
Have you ever studied the writings of Nostradamus, and what are your opinions on his supposed foretelling of the future? Was he the real deal?
He had an angel helping him.
Just one?
Just one. One of the archangels.
And he wrote so much.
Yeah, he did, but he had to be careful back then, because they would witch trials, heresy.
Right.
Be accused of witch, so he had to doctor it up so that they couldn't understand.
Well, unfortunately, he did such a great job of it that it's still very difficult to decipher.
True, and it can be taken, 2 or 3 different ways. It's a matter of making the passage fit the crime, so to speak.
Right. Well, it seems to always be in past tense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not really a foretelling if nobody understands it.
Exactly. But, even though he was given the information in the right way, he knew that he had to change it.
Right.
Or he would be, could be burned or hung, guillotined, and the above.
Yeah. Drawn and quartered would be a sucky way to go, too.
Yep.
Do we have any prophets of that skill working with guides now?
We don't have any of the old type prophets. There are some that are given information, and the information is there's somebody in like Brazil or something like that. I can't remember his name, John or something like that. I can't remember. There's like 3 or 4 of them, but they're nothing in comparison with when I did the book in 2009 called The Medium's Guide to the Paranormal. God said, I want you to put out a book, and I want you to let people know that I do hear their prayers, and I give them what they need, which is not necessarily what they want. And we got to a point in the book, and I said, well, you know, what more should we, what more can we put in the book? And I was sick one day, and I had a fever, and God said, get a piece of paper, get a tablet and a pencil. I'm like, okay, fine. So I got a tablet and a pen, and the automatic writing started. And I don't do automatic writing, but he started writing through me, and he gave me this list of things that were going to happen, prophecies. And I'm like, okay, here's, I went through each one of them, and I'm like, all right, but you have to give a little more information. Just to say this is not enough. You have to expand on each one of them so that people understand. So he did that. We went through them one by one. One of them has already come true.
Yeah.
And, there are a couple more that'll be coming true. But the overall thing is, one of them is that Jesus will return in the year around 2025. And Matthew and Andrew will be born prior to that to prepare for him, help him when he's reborn. And he's going to write another book. We have the Old Testament, we have the New Testament. And I said, well, what's up with that? He's like, well, the Old Testament was created for the people of that time. And it was geared to how they thought and what their belief system was. And he said the New Testament was geared to the time when Jesus came back and how the people were at that time. He says the new one will be geared to people of this time. And I'm like, okay.
That's logical.
Yeah. And he says it needs to be. I was talking. I said, oh, you mean you're updating it? Okay, new version. And he's laughed and he said, yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Well, if I'm not mistaken in my memory, there was a point where you shared that Jesus came back pre-Holocaust.
Yeah, he's been back many times.
Is he here now?
Not yet. No, not yet. He walks the earth, but not in physical form. He does that sometimes. Like, how some people, walk through a place when it's empty or whatever,
Just go and walk about.
Yeah, yeah. And he does that from time to time. And it's quite interesting when he does. Because he drops by. It's like, okay, so you're off and running.
Well, that is interesting because, people always are like, oh, well, he was so kind and he was so holy and he was never... I was like, yeah, he also took a whip to the money changers in the temple.
Yep.
So you should be careful which Jesus you meet. And that's completely based on your behavior.
He doesn't put up with that stuff. It's like, when I talk to God and I can hear him like I hear you. And it's like, I tell him, I said, I know people suck. I know that the world is screwed up. I said, but you have to understand. I said, you have to admit, there's a lot of good things going on right now. And I said, people are coming back to spirituality. I said, people are trying to help save the earth and change the ways and stuff like that. And we talked quite a bit about things like that. Because he's not happy with the way, things are going. And he says, but I was promised that I wouldn't do what I did last time. I'm like, yeah, well, there are times when I wonder about that. I wonder what I shouldn't just
Maybe you shouldn't have committed yourself there.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Well, we're about to have to go to break. I hate when we're in the middle of stuff and we have to go to break. But we'll be right back, y'all. You come back too. and we will have more fun discussion with Gene Lundgren. See you on the other side.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope.
That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
We are confident that none of our hosts are possessed. Being repossessed a few times? That might be a different story. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. I am so glad y'all are here to be able to enjoy my guest, Gene Lundgren. And, Gene is just a brilliant, wonderful person. And I enjoy her so much. But she is so much more than just a psychic. She is so much more than just a healer. She is just a lot. And one of the things that I am so impressed by, and she knows this, is her ability as an animal communicator. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just say that I am a little prejudiced about her skills here, because when I first got Heidi the hammock dog, Tidy Heidi, y'all all know her, she had a lot of anxiety. She had been adopted and resurrendered, and then she found me and I found her, and she still had angst. And Gene came on the show one day, and we were getting off the air, and after the show I said, I have this little dog. And from a mere photograph of her, June, you really affected her and her behavior, and mine too.
Yeah, they connect with the angelic energy, and that once, if I connect with them, it's like, oh, okay. So, your angelic energy is like, I trust you immediately. I know it's okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she was listening.
Yeah,
she went still.
That's good. Yeah, I talk to them like I talk to people, because, like I said, their soul is like a person. So, they're highly intelligent. A lot of them have, anxiety. That they've been through a lot tough times and things, and you have to reassure them. You have to show them you have to help them to understand why something happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to basically let them understand that, there's good coming for you. It's not going to be bad anymore. This is going to be good, that you can trust this person, because they would never hurt you, and they would never, ever let anyone hurt you. And I said, I told them, I said, you can talk to me anytime you want. I said, all you have to do is call Ariel and you'll see her. And they like that fact. They can, if they're having a problem, that they can connect with Ariel, and it's okay.
Well, I saw such a marked difference in her behavior. And not too long after that, we lost Bernie. And it was a sudden death. Took him to the vet, came home with a collar. And she looked at me and was like, "What have you done?" Right? And I just explained, because she did get to where she can recognize that. I guess from having had that happen with you.
Yeah.
But I just told her, I said, "Look, I am heartbroken too. I loved him. You loved him. And we are all a family. So we're just going to have to support each other." So I just had Kylie the Wonder Lab and Heidi. And David found this dog on the internet. And if you thought Heidi had issues, girl, this dog, he's a mini Australian Shepherd who wound up having, I believe he had been kenneled because the woman who had him couldn't keep him because she had such bad hips and knees. She was going to have surgery. And you cannot kennel a dog like that.
No, you can't.
So he's a nut.
Yeah.
And so, now we have another dog that broke into a privacy fence to be here. What is up with that, June? This dog had been living a hard life. He was matted. He was icky. David wouldn't even let him in the house. I wasn't coming home for 3 days, and he wouldn't even let him in the house.
No.
So I was just like, you have to. And when I got here and gave him a bath, and I took him to get a haircut and check the shots and stuff, he is Bernie.
Yep.
His name is Little.
Yeah.
But he has all of the mannerisms, all of the looks, all of the little lay on your back and swim things. I mean, I swear to goodness.
Yeah, they come back all the time.
Do they come back to the same house?
Mm-hmm. I have 2 pit bulls. They're sisters. They are the reincarnation of my 2 Dobermans that were sisters.
Oh,
same mannerisms, same build. They even answer to the name.
Get out of town.
Yep.
That's
They're
a little
3 years old
freaky.
now.
That's cool.
Yeah. I see their souls leave as they go, and they'll usually tell me, "I'm going to come back. Look for me." And I know when the time is right, and I look for them, and there they are. It's like,
wow.
My Springer I have is going on 15, and this is her 5th incarnation with me.
How many?
5th.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she was my original Springer, Susie, from the book.
My word.
Yeah.
I am so attached. I get so attached. And I just have to tell you how much I appreciated what you did for Heidi.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
She is a good girl. And, it's really funny because when I came back hurt, the knee thing,
yeah.
she is the only dog I would let sleep with me because I couldn't be moved at all. And
Right.
she knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And she nursed me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if she could not be in the room with me, she went berserk.
Yeah, they do that, yeah.
So nobody else cared. Yeah, they were all living their life.
Yeah, that's the way my Springer is. She's the same way. She's like, She has to be with me. She just, when I leave for work, she knows because I have the purse and stuff. And she's like, okay, I know you're leaving for work. It's fine, And then when I get home, she has a lot of arthritis, but she keeps going and she gets medicine. So she just keeps going.
I just find that amazing. When did you first know that this was you?
I learned about Ariel being inside of me when I died and went to the other side in 1988. I knew I had abilities before that. I knew that I could do all these things. I just wasn't sure how they were happening. And when I died in my motorcycle accident, I went to the other side, and Michael was waiting for me along with my grandparents. And Michael says, you have to understand who and what you are. And I'm like, yeah, me. He's like, you're thinking like a human. He touched my forehead, and he's like, suddenly, it's like, this is who you truly are. And it's like, I thought to myself, I wish I had a mirror. And then a mirror magically appeared. And he smiled. He says, thought becomes reality in our world, as in the dark realm. I'm like, okay. I said, I'm standing there looking at myself, and I'm like 7 feet tall. I have wings, 12-foot wingspan. I have dark auburn type hair, long, and greenish blue eyes. They're really light, and look about like I'm about 20 years old. And he says, this is who you truly are. He says, you're Ariel the Archangel. He said, you were sent back to relive human lives until you learn to have compassion for mankind. And I'm like, okay. And never even heard of her. And he says, look down there. And I looked, and he says, see the threads that are attached to the people? And I'm like, yeah. He says, the ones that are lit up are the ones that have made soul connection. The ones that are darkened are the ones that have not made that connection yet. I'm like, okay. One of the things I noticed when I went to the other side was that I could hear every single soul that exists in the white realm, whether it was in the white realm or on the earth. I could feel and hear all the souls. And above all that was God. He was like overall just like commanding. You get that love and the warmth and the peace that comes from him. And it was kind of odd for me, but yet, being Ariel, I sensed that was normal. And I asked Michael, I said, okay, so if heaven exists, what about hell? And he waved his arm, and this pit opened up, and it looked like black molasses or something, and people were trying to reach up, and there was horrible sounds coming out of it. And he waved his arm, and it closed. I said, okay, got it. Hell exists too. Alrighty then. And he says, you have to go back. You have much work to do. And I said, well, you're going to tell me more about who I am? And he looked at me and he said, look it up on the internet.
Google that, baby.
Yeah, it was funny because that was back when dial-up was king, so to speak.
So you were going to be there a week just trying to get a connection.
Right? Yeah, so the only thing you can find out about Ariel is that her name means Lion of God, and that she's one of the 5 that guard the throne of God. But what people don't know is she's also one of the members of the Legion of Light, and there's another elite group called the Assassins, and she's a member of that as well. And she's a warrior angel. A lot of people that actually have seen her say that if they didn't know any better, they'd be afraid because she's so fierce looking. I had a friend that had her husband died a couple of years ago, and she was in the hospital when he died. He was young. He was 59 years old. And she was having spine surgery. And they had been together since she was 17. She was 45. And it just,
oh my gosh.
It just completely unexpected and out of the blue. And she asked me, she said, is there any way that you can have Ariel bring John to me, her husband? And I said, yes. I said, I will send Ariel tonight to bring John to you. And she was laying in her hospital bed, and she looked up, and she saw John standing next to this fierce warrior angel. And she said, Ariel? And Ariel said, yes. And she said she could actually feel John hugging her.
Oh, my gosh.
And he told her, he says, don't worry about it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay with you. You'll be okay. And they had a few minutes together, and then they were gone. And she messaged me the next day and said, oh, my God. She said, if I didn't know any better, she said, she would scare the you-know-what out of me. He said, but I knew who it was. It's like, oh, my God.
That's so cool. Like, do you have a choice where, like you did with her, do you have a choice when Ariel when you can share the Ariel side of you?
Yeah, I can. I can bring her forward at will, and people. And I usually do it if there's an issue or if there's something I need to get across, or somebody needs to understand what resides within me. It's not very often, but I can bring her forward, and people just get all freaked out. I'm like, well, you shouldn't ask if you didn't want to know, if you didn't want to see it.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah,
that's what I say about the hide side of me.
Yeah, so my son's like, I need to talk to Ariel. And I'm like, you sure you want to talk to Ariel? And he's like, yes, just tell her to be nice.
Well, I think that she would start out nice regardless, right?
Oh, yeah. She's just fierce looking. And you have to be a demon slayer. You can't be, lollipops and rainbows. You can't do that, But the people that she loves, the people that she's close to, I mean, she'll rip you a new one just even thinking about her,
I just find that's not far from your personality.
No, I'm a lot like that as well. Don't mess with. You can mess with me
because you are her.
Yeah,
I mean,
mess with me all you want, but don't mess with my family or the people I love. I'll screw you in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, once somebody has done that, all bets are off.
Oh yeah.
So,
because she doesn't put up with that at all. She has ways of getting. I had somebody one time say, I have a friend of mine that's a medium, and he's like, there are people saying that, in the Oregon paranormal area, there are people saying that you're arrogant. And I looked at him, and I knew who he was talking about. I knew what group he was talking about. And I told him, I said, listen, if I can't do what I say I can do, then you can call me arrogant. But if I can do what I say I can do, then shut up.
Bingo.
They're the ones that come to me when they need help.
That's interesting. Because you have helped me in the past, and 9 times out of 10, well, it hasn't been that many times, but it feels like it. But if I just say, I think that this or I think that, then you recognize the situation and you tend to, like with Heidi, I did ask for help with Heidi, but you just didn't know, right?
Uh-huh.
But I was just so concerned about her. But issues that I might have, you have stepped into the fray and just, I'm a firm believer. And I do want listeners to know this. I am a firm believer in the fact that you are who you say you are and you can do what you say you do. Because there are so many people who might doubt this, but I have experience with people who, not the same as you, have similar gifts to yours.
Yeah.
And I've seen them in action. And I recognize the power source of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know an awful lot of people who, if they are not archangels, are some powerful warrior angels.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in the world right now.
And almost to a person, they live by the cry of battle. It's almost, I mean, I'm not joking about that. That's truth. So, you know, it's refreshing to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, you have to. You do God's work. You go into the fray. You know, it's like Ariel's always prepared for battle. I mean, it's just she lives for killing demons. So you know, her and the Legion, they're always like, yeah, baby.
Yeehaw! Hold my Coke and watch this.
Together again. We're off.
But you know, I am loving this, and we still have a break coming up, but we've got a few minutes because we've got something we're going to go into when we come back, because Sherry asked an hour ago. So, but you know, I am always so impressed when I come across a person who is a warrior, and I recognize them when I see them, which is weird. Well, I don't know if it's weird. It seems weird, but maybe because I'm just coming across so many. I didn't realize that they were amping up so much, but that would explain a lot.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And, you know, I've got to think that every so often, just because there's not going to be another flood, doesn't mean that there's not going to be another something. And people get complacent and they turn their back on God because they believe in their abilities. They believe that they're controlling their own destiny. And that's such a mistake. I mean, it is such a mistake.
People think, oh, I'm in control. Control is an illusion.
It is, if you're not God.
Yep.
So, Sherry says, that's not weird. You have many gifts too. So, because I'm weird. I'm not really. I'm just happy, and I know that I have what I have, and I'm appreciative of that. But we are fixing to take our last break. If you are listening and you have not signed into chat yet, what are you waiting for? This is going to be your last chance for questions. So, you know, get on over there, fatemag.com/fate-radio. That easy. So, come on, join in. And we still got till the top of the hour. We're looking for your questions. Bring them. See you on the other side.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope.
That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Here I go. You are back with Fate Mag Radio. I'm so glad that you are here. We had a mere tidbit of technical difficulty there. And Gene Lundgren, I'm so glad you have been here with me. I can't believe we're on our final segment. But I told you that we had a question from Sherry that I had been putting off almost for an hour.
Yeah.
And so let me find it. Okay. Are there any cryptids that you believe exists, and do you have any personal stories or what you believe to be scientific evidence that they do exist?
I ran into Sasquatch once up in Trout Lake, Washington.
Ooh, that's his dumping grounds, as it were.
Yeah. It's
part of them.
Quite interesting because I was up there and it's like I was making the connection psychically, telepathically, and it's like, who am I picking up on? It's like, I have to stop and just be quiet and listen. And I listened for about 3 or 4 minutes. It's like, okay. So I didn't say anything at all telepathically. I just listened. And then I said something, and it kind of freaked him out a little bit. And I'm like, I could see him looking around. I'm like, no. I said, I'm not near you in the woods. I said, I'm away from you. I said, I'm just talking to you, in your mind, telepathically. And he wasn't sure about what telepathic was. I said, telepathic is I can talk to you, and you can talk to me, and we don't have to see each other. Oh, he says that's how they communicate a lot of the times, Sasquatch. And I'm like, cool. And I said, I'm sorry for what mankind are being buttheads and trying to track you down and hunt you down and kill you or whatever. And I said, I'm sorry about that. I said, you're better. He's like, we try to stay away from them. I'm like, good man. Or good.
They're pretty good at that.
Yeah, I said, you need to stay away. I said, because it's not a good thing. I said, because people are stupid. And it's like he agreed with that wholeheartedly. And I told him, I said, I probably wouldn't be back this way. So, but I just wanted him to know that not everybody's a butthead.
Well, I'll tell you that I used to think that not all Bigfoot hunters were obnoxious. But there is only one way that they're ever going to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they exist.
Right.
And I am not comfortable with that.
Nope.
So I tend to step away from that subject.
Yeah.
I do speak with people that I feel are doing legitimate research and who only want to know that they're here.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But, I can't think of a safe way to trap something that big and that strong. Yeah. So I don't think that's the method that is going to be utilized.
Yeah, unless you want to sit down and talk to him telepathically.
Right. Well, you could do that.
And then ask him questions and stuff like that. You don't have to, you just have a nice conversation.
Well, that's your gift. I mean, you were able to handle that gracefully because you have that ability. But the average human isn't aware that they can do that because they've been told that that's not real or we can't. I mean, it's all what you're taught.
Yeah, yeah.
They can train it out of you.
Yeah, you got to keep an open mind. Yeah, I don't have any problems believing in Sasquatch or anything else because, like I said, even if I didn't, I mean, come on, stop and think about it. You know, the alligators are from the prehistoric era. What the heck? You know, so I think the bats are the same way. It's like, so what the heck? You know, come on.
Well, it's like the elementals.
Yeah, the elementals are there all the time. They're really active in the UK. I went to Scotland and it was like, oh, that's so cool.
Sherry said, how about Republicans? She did not mean that. She meant reptilians.
Republicans? Oh, don't make me go there with either one of them.
Oh, my goodness. But that's one thing I don't do is politics on here. But
yeah, none of that stuff. Reptilians are kind of like reptilians are not really reptiles per se. You know what I'm saying? They're
They're just simply a different format.
Yeah,
of us.
How they want you to perceive them. You know, in that manner. Yeah, in that manner. And, you know, it's off-putting for some people. Some people don't care. But, you know, it's just whatever. It doesn't bother me. It's kind of like the stupid UFOs, you know. I mean, I've encountered a couple of them, and I don't want to encounter them again because what they're doing is they're looking for people with abilities like mine, psychic abilities and stuff, and they're trying to, like, you know, do experiments to, like, basically breed in with people that have, you know, telepathic abilities and stuff. They're trying to increase that sort of thing. And it's like,
there's humans trying to do those experiments too.
Oh, yeah. I shut down. It's like, you know what? Not going there with that one.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I know the government's been doing it for years. When I switched from Army to Air Force, and my godfather, who was a bird colonel, he said, listen, there's stuff, because he used to work for the OSA. He says, there's stuff going on. I do not want you to even say anything about your abilities. Do not say anything. Do not go there, because they're doing experiments. They're using chemicals to try to magnify the abilities and stuff like that, and it's not going well. I'm like, hell no.
Message received.
It's not happening, you know, because he was concerned. So, because I was at SAC base.
Well, I am having the best time, and we're down into the last 8 minutes. But what is something that you would like to leave with people? I know that there's so much angst in the world right now, and you know, it seems to just be continuously building instead of dissipating, which I had actually thought that with the elections behind and all of that, you know, things would start chilling and mellowing, and it doesn't seem to be happening. If anything, it seems to be continuously building. Is this part of what you had talked about was coming? Yeah. Well,
and the demons are, like, you know, really going strong, and you know, this stuff with the COVID. Don't get me started on that.
Right.
I don't want to talk about it because that's a whole other factor. But there's a lot of control issue going on there with everything that's going on with the government, and you know, forcing people to get immunizations that they don't really want, and it's just built. It's turning into a big giant mess.
Well, it all is a big mess, and you know, it's almost like you can envision there needing to be a flush or a do-over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
You know, and it actually was a flush the last time. Things got so crazy. But, you know, I just have been, like I said, feeling and concerning and just just a little overwhelmed. I think everybody with abilities are right now.
Yeah. It's just, I try to separate myself from that because it'll make you crazy, and it's just.
Oh yeah, I've started my meditation up. Like seriously, stepped that game up because I was feeling vulnerable when I was meditating. While it was, I had a shadow come in to the place that I go in my meditation.
Yep.
It's a front porch swing from an old house. And I had a shadow figure come in and sit on the swing with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is my meditation. You cannot be here. And I knew who it was. I recognized the profile. And it was just, they just swung.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
But you know that they can enter anytime.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was not a negative. I didn't feel it was a negative.
No, but you shouldn't even have anybody else in your.
That's what I thought. I thought it was such a violation, no matter of who it was.
Yeah, no matter who it is, it shouldn't be allowed.
But I just tried to go on with my bad self and do my thing.
Yeah.
But it was very disruptive.
It is, yeah.
So.
Nobody wants to come to my meditation.
This is for me by Jingo. Yeah. Get out.
Have me growling at you. Get out.
But, I do find that when people approach me, I get a lot of people that communicate about the different shows and, offer their opinions and stuff. And I get asked a lot about, don't you feel it? What do you do? I said, I meditate and I pray. They're not always the same thing, but they're pretty close. Yeah. Both are to communicate.
Yeah.
So, what do you do?
Oh, I don't meditate often. I used to meditate all the time, but it's like I don't need to. A lot of people need to meditate. A lot of people meditate to go, make the connection with the other side and talk and visit. And it's like, all I have to do is switch gears and I'm there. So I think, so I don't really need the meditation. I live with one foot on the other side and one foot in this world. And my meditation is crashing and burning. I go to sleep and that's it.
Well, I will tell you that that's something I do well. Much to my husband's chagrin. He's like, how do you fall asleep so fast? It's like, clean living, baby.
Yeah, me too. Gone in 5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you that I appreciate you so much. I appreciate our friendship and I appreciate your abilities. And I mainly, tonight I appreciate you joining me for such a lively and vast, varied conversation. You've been everywhere.
Yeah, it's a good thing, though.
It is a good thing. And, do you have a website that you would like to share?
Oh, yeah. It's, they both tie into each other. You can go to demonseer.com or mysticconnections.org. And, you can contact me through that. I have my books there that link. I sell them on Amazon. You can get, the hardcover. You can get a regular printed book, or you can get an ebook, that sort of thing.
Well, I like printed, but when I'm having trouble finding them, then I will Kindle it in a heartbeat.
There you go.
Because I don't like the Kindle Unlimited because I don't feel like the author gets anything back from that.
Yeah.
But I do not mind using Kindle itself. So
yeah.
And I always appreciate authors that do that, and you do for some of yours.
Yeah.
So I've got your websites in the chat room, and Sherry says thanks you, and Brenda says come back soon. She likes the shows that we've done. So
yeah, I'm going to England in March.
Ooh.
I'm going back to visit. I was supposed to go to a wedding in June, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I understand. I was supposed to be in Scotland in June, so that didn't happen either.
Yeah,
But I'm going next year.
Yeah, and then I have the Oregon Ghost Conference the last weekend in March. I'll be lecturing.
What's your topic?
How to identify negative entities and how to protect yourself.
Well, that is important information, and you can never get enough of that.
Yep.
So, and thank you for sharing it here. We are officially out of time, so we're going to have to say goodnight. But just so y'all know, next week, same cat time, same cat channel, and we are going to have a fantastic show with you. And Von Breschler is supposed to be here. He has written Time Shifts, and he's fascinating. So we had a mix-up for last month, so he is coming this month. I am so excited. And he's just a lovely person, a great guy, and it's going to be awesome. Be sure you join us. And don't forget, we are back to our full schedule. Monday, Paranormal Pride with Denise Pride Moore. Wednesday is Paranormal Experienced with myself, Kat Hobson. Thursday, we have Teal Gray back. She is going to be joining us with Soul to Soul. And I think that Mark Fulmont is going to be her initial guest. It's going to be just fantastic. Friday, Shelley is going to be live with Ghost Talk Radio with 187 PI. And then we're back to Fate. So thank you so much. I hope that you just thoroughly enjoyed June. I know I did. And we'll see you next time. And don't forget that if you don't like the world you're looking at, you can modify that. Be the change. It works. Smile. Be kind. Kindness is the most important thing. Seriously. And yeah, if you're wearing a mask because you're still uncomfortable, that is perfectly fine. But your eyes smile too. Reach out if you know somebody that needs help. Be their friend. Help them. And you'll find the world that you're looking for. Good night. I appreciate y'all. See you next time.